Man, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like every time I'm out and about driving, people are just driving crazy out there. So much so they're starting to look like a GTA server out there, and I almost feel like you absolutely need a dash cam today. Initially, I wanted to pick up just a cheap one from like eBay, and I did, and this thing was just absolutely terrible. It sucked all around that I just kind of hated that thing, and I obviously didn't use it. But today I'm going to install the Fitcamx into my 2018 Toyota Tacoma. What's cool about that is that it makes the installation look like it came factory with the camera already in there, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Another cool thing about this one, at least, is that we picked up the one that has front and rear camera, so we're going to be protected on the front and on the back of the truck, and it's also 4K Ultra HD quality, so it should be a lot better than that cheapo one I picked up from eBay. So let me go ahead and open the box, show you everything that comes inside of here, and then we're gonna move over to the truck and show you how to install it before we then move on to the app and quality of the camera. So let's get to it. All right guys, so now in the workbench here, we have what you're gonna receive when you buy the Fitcamx. Just a clean box here, very Apple-like design. When we open it, we're gonna have two boxes inside of it. One is gonna be for the accessories. Another one is gonna be for the dash cam. Let's go ahead and open the accessories box first. Inside of this, you're gonna have just three things. One of them is gonna be the power cable for the camera, a trim removal tool, and an SD card reader that works with both USB-C and USB-A. Let's go ahead and put this here to the side so we can get into the rest of this. Once we get here the dash cam box, underneath that you're gonna have a kind of user manual and also a support card. We're gonna put that to the side. And for the dash cam box here, you're only gonna have two things really. One is gonna be the actual dash cam, which is this big piece here, and I'll explain why it looks that big. And then the rear camera here with the wiring for it. This is also just kind of one piece you can set to the side. So the reason why this is so big, or it might look very big here, is because we are replacing a part of the trim in the truck, and that's what allows us to keep kind of that OEM look. As you can see here, we have a very nice molded piece here. This is gonna replace kind of the center part in our truck. We have our cables here, one nicely labeled for the rear camera, other one for the power, and then the camera right here, which we're gonna leave that sticker in place since we don't wanna touch it or scratch it by accident. Here in the back, we have a power and a button for what I assume is take a picture, and then we have the SD card reader here for the camera on the side. So that's really all you're gonna have in the packaging. That's really all you're gonna need. Very simple, not a lot of pieces. And the reason for that is because, again, this is specific to my vehicle, which allows us to have just a lot less pieces or a lot less wiring, unnecessary wiring, which is very nice. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to the truck so I can show you guys what we need to remove and then where we're gonna put this on. Okay guys, and inside of the Tacoma here, we have to remove this plastic cover here. Super easy. All you gotta do really is just kind of put your hand on top and slide it down. Now mine is just in here kind of mocked up right now because I got in a little bit ahead of myself. And I already routed the wiring and installed it just to make sure everything is going to be a nice and clean install. So I will remove it here and it'll be a lot easier for me. But again, just got to slide it down. It'll be some clips, it'll pop out and you can just take it out. Now on the back of this cover, right here in the top area, there's going to be two little orange tabs that you need to remove and put them into the new plastic. So if I'll show you here, you'll see that my camera is kind of already hanging here on the side. Again, the reason just because I already routed the wiring for the rear camera, which I'll get into a minute here and explain it to you. But those little plastic covers here on the top, those come from the factory one. You're gonna also add your wiring in here. So the small one, there's one that says rear camera and then the smaller one. Make sure the small one is attached to the harness, and then the rear camera one obviously attached to the rear camera. Now back here, I did have a bit of a user error when I first was doing this, so make sure when you're gonna install this, your harness has to plug into this one. This little sensor here, you're gonna take the little gray plug here out and plug that into the harness that comes with the camera, and then plug the white pin from the harness back into the spot. That's gonna allow you to get power on both the front and the rear camera. So that's really all you need to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that here in 1 second and then pop this cover back in there. This pops just like how it came out. You just kind of line it up with the two top pins here and then with the bottom and just slide it up into like clicks. So let's do it.
I know it would be goodbye, my love. When did the closer
So there you have it. That is how easy it is to install the front camera. Now, if you only have the kit with just the front camera, that's really all you're gonna need to do. The cable for the rear can just be stuck in there and left alone. If you have the rear camera like I do, then we have to route the cable. They do recommend for you to route the cable here through the top and then basically route it right through the edge of everything, through the headliner, and then back to the spot where you're gonna put it. Now, I did mine a little bit different. I didn't go exactly the way they wanted to, just because there is a lot of cable in there. I mean, there's a lot of cable with that camera. So I'll show you guys the way I did it, and you can decide if you want to do it that way. Now, real briefly, guys, I want to talk about the rear camera. One thing that is a bit of a downside on this is that this camera is not waterproof. So you got to make sure you install this inside of the cab. If you are putting it in a Tacoma like me, that means on the rear glass or somewhere along the lines there, but it cannot go outside. So your view is gonna be kind of covered by the bed. So keep that in mind. They did include some clips. They include quite a bit of cable as well. So you should be able to route this throughout the cab without a problem, but just keep in mind that does have to be inside of the cab, otherwise it's gonna mess up. So we are gonna go ahead and try to find a spot for this, and then I'll show you guys here in a bit where I decided to put it. All right, guys, so I wanna show you here, I put mine on my passenger side, obviously, since the cables are kind of coming out towards that way. I think that makes the most sense. But one thing, if you do have the Tacoma like I do, is to keep and be aware of that middle glass here. You do not want to put it on a spot where you're going to hit it if you ever going to open that. So you have to put it all the way on the edge here, or maybe put it on the glass itself and it moves with it. It's up to you. But I'm going to put it right here on the edge, and then I'm going to run the cable down here to the side and into the bottom here along the plastic pieces, hopefully all the way to the front.
Where did the spark go? The warmth that once stole my soul.
All right, guys, I'm about to run you down through what you just saw. Basically, we are taking the A-pillar here cover just so we can run the cable behind it. We're gonna run it all the way kind of down here, so that way we can drop it down and run it through the bottom of the carpet. And to remove this, you just have a 10mm here. It's behind the little covers. You can use the little prying tool that came with the kit to get that out. And then down here, also use the same prying tool kit. It just clips on there, so pry it on the front, pry it on the side here, and then you should be able to take both of them out, because there is a little hook here on the side that is tied into the A-pillar. So you kind of have to pry both of them out at the same time. So once you get them out of the way, we are good to run the cable, and we're gonna find a spot to drop it down here so that we can run it through the carpet. All right, so just to give you a look at the cable before I put the covers back on. So cable is running right here through the top. It's going right here towards the bottom, right into the spot. And then from there, it's gonna be kind of hard to do, but you can reach and see a spot if you shine a light through the bottom here. So there, we remove the cover here. It's just a couple push pins and a little plastic screw here that you can undo by hand. The rest of it down here is also just push pins, so you can just pull it up. But once you run the cable through there, it's gonna come out here. And then now we are good to go ahead and run it through the bottom here, through the plastic seal underneath this with the other cables, all the way to the back to where we put the camera. All right, everyone, and I just wanna show you here real quick where the cable is running. It is running underneath all those tabs. Some of these ones are the factory cables, and another one is the one for the camera, and you can see it all fits underneath it. Here, I just kind of slide it from one side and the other side, and let me go here to the back door before I put my plastics back on. I'm actually stepping on them here. Here, we can kind of see as well, cables are going through the bottom here. There is an excess of cables, so I did kind of run it here a couple times before I went up to connect here to the camera up here. Now, excuse my light here. You can kind of see there's the cable back here. I did get a little bit lazy on this area, not gonna lie. The cable is just kind of dangling here. I might use some of those plastic pieces with the tape to secure it, or if I have some time later, I'll put it underneath this piece. But right now, there's just too much stuff here to kind of do that. But this should be enough to at least have it out of the way. It won't be on the way to passengers or anyone else. So we are pretty much good to go here. Okay, guys, with everything in place now, we're gonna go ahead and turn on the car and make sure we're getting power. Okay, you see the little blue light there? Excuse the beeping of my car here. So you kind of see that blue light there. That means the camera is getting power. That means the back camera should also be getting power as well. You're gonna see some blinking, so we should be in pairing mode now. All right, so here I am connecting to the Wi-Fi from the camera. Now, one of the downsides, and I'll tell you this right now, one of the downsides, if you have multiple things that connect through here, especially like me, that I have my Apple CarPlay on the car, that also likes to auto join. So to connect to this, you're gonna have to turn off the auto join on anything else that has that. So if I go into my Apple CarPlay here, you can see I turn off the auto join, just because otherwise since there's no internet on this other one, it'll keep trying to switch out of it. So that's one thing that's a little bit annoying. If you have multiple things that connect to your phone, just keep that in mind. So now that we're connected to the camera here, I can go ahead and just switch over to my Fitcamx app, and we should be able to just hit the connect here. And there you go. We can kind of see both views here on the top. You can kind of see my front here, then in the corner is going to have the back. You can go into the camera settings if there is anything that you want to modify in here. Sound recording, I have it to off. It comes automatically off. You can turn that on if you want to. You got the video resolution, loop record options, exposure compensation, timestamp. You have a driving collision sensing here, which is least sensitive. You can switch that off if you want. You also have the parking monitoring collision detection here at the bottom. Now that one, you only have that option, and you can only really turn that option if you have the hardwire kit. The way that we have ours connected right now, you're not going to be able to use that because it's just the easy installation. It's not connected directly to the battery, so it's not constantly being powered on. It's only when the truck is on that the camera is on, so you can't really use that function unless you have it connected directly into the camera. Now below that, you have some Wi-Fi name and password if you want to add one or switch it around. What the firmware version is, you can format the SD card that comes in there or do a factory reset on it. Now, if you go over here to the left side, you have the camera files. You can kind of see everything that's already in the camera, anything that's been recorded previously. So if you have an accident, this is where you would go and potentially grab that video clip that you need. You'll sort through them. There's a lot in there. Right now, obviously, because I've been using my car and everything, so kind of get a better idea how it works. So it might be easier to do that in a computer if you have access to it. Otherwise, you can do it right here on the phone. Just select the file and you can save it to your phone and everything, and it just makes it super easy. So if we click one here, we can kind of see that's the one from my back camera. We can see cars moving, we have a date and everything, and you can see right here on the bottom it says download. You can take a screenshot or you can delete it if you want to. So real easy to use. The app, super intuitive, nothing crazy here, real easy. You also have the options here to, I guess, stop recording or take a screenshot if you want to. If you turn your phone here to the side, you can kind of see that became a little bit bigger. You have some options here as well. Stop recording, capture something, turn on the mic. This option here is if you have somewhat of a mirror effect, you can switch that around, or you can click this bottom one and kind of switch the view. You can kind of see now we're looking at the back. The front view here is at the top. And I believe there's a way to just see one view. There you go. So if you switch it a couple times, you kind of just go into just one, right? Now we're only seeing the front. If we switch it back, we're only seeing the back. And, you know, it works really well. Pretty happy with the results. Like I said, super easy to put on, especially if you only have the front camera. Super easy to use the actual app here within the phone. The only caveat I would say is that if you have multiple things that use the Wi-Fi, multiple things that you need to connect or auto connect to your phone, you have to just kind of turn some of those off so it doesn't keep kicking you out of it. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, I'm gonna post some clips here of how the videos come out here as I've been driving, and you guys can judge and see if you like it.
It seems the glow from within your eyes is gone.
Alright guys, so you just saw some sample video here on the front and back camera, bro, during the day and at night. And I want to give you my final thoughts here on the overall package of the Fitcamx. Installation wise, I think they did a great job. Super easy, super quick to get it installed. If you have just the front camera, you can probably get up and running in like 10 to 15 minutes max. If you have the back camera, you might be looking maybe about 30 to 40 minutes, depending which way you're going to route that cable. If you're going to go through the headliner or if you're going to go through some other method like I did through the bottom here on the carpet, it might take a little bit longer, but overall super easy. Everything's nice and clearly labeled. Everything is plug and play. There's no extra wire or anything like that, unless you get the hardwire kit. Then of course you might have to do a little bit extra, but overall super happy with that part of it. Now when it comes to the app, also super easy to use, super intuitive. You can get to videos quick, you can get to downloading stuff that you might need if you get into an accident, and there's not a lot of stuff in there that you can kind of mess up. So again, super easy to use. Overall, pretty happy with that part of it. Now, when it comes to the quality of the cameras, both front and back, we did say that the front camera is a little bit better quality than the back one. And if you were paying attention to my video, you might have noticed that the color difference between the front and the back might have looked a little bit different. And the reason because of that is the front one looks a little bit more gray, more faded out, and the back one looks a little bit more vibrant. The reason for that is because I have tint on my back window, and I think that tint during the day helps a lot. It makes the back camera look a lot better, even though it's a 1080p camera versus the front one, just because that tint, again, just helps a lot during the day. As far as seeing cars, other plates and all that stuff like that, it does a pretty good job of capturing everything around you. I did find it a little bit hard to see plates a little bit, especially if things were moving fast. If you are parked or anything like that, everything is super clear, so there's no problem there. But again, just depending on the speed of cars and everything, I did find it a little bit hard to see the plates. Now, during the night, I think is where it struggles a little bit more, and that tint on my back window actually did not help that camera anymore. It actually made it look a little bit worse, made things look a lot darker, obviously, with the tint. So it was a little bit harder to get kind of clear images at night, unless the cars were in a really nice lit area. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware that it might struggle a little bit on those low light situations. Overall, I think the package is really good. If you need something that just fits and looks OEM into the truck, doesn't require a lot of splicing or anything like that, I think the Fitcamx fits all of those needs and will do a very good job of kind of covering you in case you get into an accident. If you need something that's super capable in low light, you might have to look elsewhere for that. Outside of that though, I'll have links and promo code down in the description for you guys to use. If you want to go ahead and pick this one up, you can save a couple of money there with my promo code, which I'll put here on the screen as well. Otherwise, that's really all I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.